Okay, we are recording. Okay, so today I'm going to go over mixing the complements for the complementary scale. And I think first I want to have a little bigger. First I want this. I want to make them, want them 1 by 1 inch. So 1 by 1 inch, see that? And I'm going to make them initially 1.5 inches square to give me room to cut off so they don't have to be perfect on the edge. Half, okay, that'll take me right to the edge, that's fine. Again, 2, I started at 1/2 inch. Just to get it off the edge of the sheet of paper. And keep track of what you're doing. You're doing this 1.5 inches at a time. Sometimes I forget and just go from 1 inch to another inch, and it's a pretty common mistake. Hope you're all enjoying the beautiful weather we've been having. It's going to be still nice this morning, but here we got rain and colder weather coming, but that's okay. I kind of like autumn rain. All right. And let's see, if I want 1.5, 3. Okay, I think I can do this. So I'm going to do this like 1/4 inch from the edge instead of 1/2. I want more, and I need my longer ruler. Elliot, thank you. You're a good kitty. There. Just as long as I just want to give myself a straight enough line. And then 1.5 inches. Give myself an extra space in between them. 1/4 inch, 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches, 1/4 inch, 1.5 inches. I've made this little extra space in between them. All right, good. There's a little bit of a mistake. Yeah, see the mark is up here, and I used the wrong mark from something else. Oh, that mistake sometimes just happens. If I'm painting darker colors, I could probably get away with that pencil line being there, but if they get if it's lighter, you need to remove it. I'm just going to lighten the whole thing. As long as that's light, then that little bit of a pencil mark's not going to show. I can still see the shape, so I'm not going to worry. All right. I have water, I have mixing cups, and I see my paint is still in the other room. Be right back. All right. Well, you can just take the primaries out, since. So that's the thing about your complementary pair, is that any of the pairs, you're going to need a secondary and a primary that are adjacent on that are opposite on the color wheel. So that means that you're going to need either blue and red to make violet, red and yellow to make orange, or yellow and blue to make green. My personal preference is blue and orange, and the reason I like blue and orange is because you get browns out of orange. Yellow and violet is an interesting one. It's maybe a little more challenging to work with because you've got to control the green that comes from darkening yellow, especially when you add black to it. You might take, if you're going to do yellow and violet, it would be probably a good idea to take the yellow, add a little bit of red to make it a little bit more like a yellow-orange. Not quite, maybe like yellow with a bias toward orange, just so that it won't, so you can try to counteract that effect. Okay, I made my red and my yellow. And a brush. Where are you, brush? Mark. Get a couple of them. All right. All right, so I'll start with yellow. Try not to get the crumbs off the threads in it. This is it's kind of a downside of the chroma paint, is that when it dries in the threads and then it just gets really flaky, just kind of brush that stuff off. Watch it doesn't get on anything important. All right, so I'm going to just take the brush. So in this case, this is not like the color wheel where you're trying to be careful or too careful. I just want to try to make orange. Look at I guess, orange, you don't really know for sure. I think you're going to have to look online, since I still have your color wheels, although I did grade them. And I've been doing this for a little while, so it might be a little easier for me to gauge what is a decent orange. I might try making it a little darker just to see how it looks to me. Maybe a little bit more red, but this actually looks pretty decent. As I said in the class, if this orange is a little bit too yellow, when I mix the blue into it, somewhere in the middle where the two hues are meant to cancel each other out, it may very well start to turn a little green because of the excess yellow in the mixture to create orange. Don't worry too much about that. If this is your first time mixing colors for a complementary pair, I can be forgiving about how well you mixed up your secondary color. Okay, make sure it is truly and thoroughly mixed, so you don't have little streaks of one or the other color in it. Right? I'm going to test this out and see what I got. All right, this my one of these paints is a little watery. I think I need to stir it. Well, anyway, we're going to run with this here. Needs some stirring. All right, get a stir stick. Sometimes use the handle of a brush or like a skewer. Yeah, that's kind of heavy down there. And like that, try not to drip it too much. Mixed off onto there, dried off. Okay, and take this right away, just try to wipe that excess paint off the edge. This one's got a little sharp spot from the wood. Okay, and that's got a trash can. All right. All right. Well, there's no brush. Okay, so you could go wash your hands, but I'm not going to since I don't want to stop the demo. All right. So you mix up your secondary, and as I've mentioned to you before, mix enough of this and have a container that can be closed, an old jar or something that has a lid that you can close tightly so that you can save your paint and use it for the project. You run out and you got to remix it. Not impossible, especially like when you're making the painting of the portrait painting. But you know, it's nice if you don't have to recreate it. That's better. See, when I've only painted that one, I really didn't have any context for how good or bad or how accurate that is. So there. All right, I like that better. See, that's too yellow. Too yellow. All right, good. I'm going to go with this guy. And so I'll have this brush for the orange. My habit is to set the brush on top of the thing. Watch out for where the paint is on the edge. Blue. Right. These. Going that way. My blue is a little evaporated and a little bit thick there. Just this. There. Good. So to do the mixture of the orange into the blue, I think what I might start with, myself again, that in my trash bucket. Take this. Okay. Now, I want to do this like my other mixtures. Take a little bit of the blue and mix it in. Oh my God, very green. Boo! I don't like that. Still too yellow, I guess. If it's going to get too green, well, we'll see. I'll give it a chance. That's actually better. Maybe a lot. So similar to like if you're starting with yellow and you're mixing for oranges, a little bit of red is going to affect the yellow quickly. A little bit of blue will affect the lighter orange quickly. Well, that's a nice color now. Okay, good. Yeah, I started a little green, but now I'm getting a nice brown out of this. Right. Okay. So I might have a little too much. I might have put a little too much blue in to start off. But you see what the blue does to the orange. Yeah, my red or my yellow or both are just a little thin. That's a nice color. I like it. Quite a beautiful color. Okay, a little bit more. But yeah, this is I can see like when you first put that in there, it's very green. So that tells me that my no, it tells me this might be a little too yellow. I think what I'm going to do at this point, since I've just started, is I'm going to mix a little bit of red into this. It can be a little bit chancy, I guess, just sort of like messing around with the base hue after I've already started. Second, good. Take advantage of the daylight. That's a beautiful color to come out of this. Good. Oh, that's cool. That's very nice. Try this. Don't look at the Elliot. Okay, good. Might take a little bit of red up out of here. Mm. Yeah. So I guess if you're really, you're really trying to keep this from producing that green, you might want to tinker with your orange early, but really get it close. I don't want you spending the next 2 weeks just trying to get your secondary color right. And this what I had might have been okay, but I was just like a little bothered by the appearance of green as soon as the blue hits it. Not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily mean it won't work. It's just I think getting the secondary right is sort of helps make things go well throughout the assignment. Just a little more red, you can see the difference. You can see that difference in hue, where you can see the red in it. Now, let's take a little more of the blue. Small amount. Yeah, still greenish. Still greening it, but all right, I'm just going to run with this and see. As you mix, that appearance of green does get mixed into it. So I'm going to say now, doing this is good for me to do the demos so that I can remember what you are experiencing. Always important. I remember what it was like to be a student, and sometimes you're just not really sure if what you're doing is right, or it's easier for me at this point. I mean, like the basic stuff, I've got it down, and if you're doing it for the first time, it might not match the results that I get, but at this point, I ought to be pretty good at it. You would want the person teaching your course to be good at it. Okay. Better? Blue, I'm going to just take more. Since this is a darker, as this gets dark, you can add progressively greater amounts of blue to make it change to the same degree. But I'm getting a nice range. I'm just getting some nice browns out of this. Yeah, so all right. Now this does make nice, like when you're choosing a portrait, you're choosing a portrait of a human, you can choose animal or human portrait. This is like, it's nice to have this range of warm colors and browns for skin color, if that's what you're trying to imitate. You do not necessarily have to reproduce the skin color accurately. If you wanted to create the appearance of if you wanted to use blue for skin color, you certainly can. If you want to use yellow or red for skin color, orange, certainly, violet. You can be creative and interpretive with it. Sorry, I see that I'm off camera a little bit. So there's my. This is turning really nice. Ooh, I like it. Yeah, so I guess I was getting a little worried because I saw the green when I first mixed it in, but I think that's a bit of a, I think I shouldn't have been so worried. Okay, good. So eventually what I'm going to get to, whoop, go. Yeah, that's a bigger jump. I put more blue into it. Um, now that this is getting darker, I will need more and more of the blue. So eventually what's going to happen, the more of the orange, more of the blue I mix into the orange, the more it's going to neutralize, and I will lose the appearance of either blue or orange, which is kind of starting to happen here. Here you can still see the orange, but this is turning what color theory says is achromatic, meaning there is no apparent hue. So this, now with more blue, with the blue dominating, this is probably going to start to appear a little bit green. So what I recommend you do is you mix this it's kind of like turning into this kind of olivey color. It's a really good, interesting way to discover how certain hues are made. Neutrals are very important in application because you can't have everything saturated. It's just too stimulating an experience. Honestly, it looks kind of trashy if everything is just bright and saturated. Most things should have some, that's actually more of an exception that you would have a saturated color. That would be more for like an accent color or emphasis, but not on not necessarily in a large area. It depends. If it's smaller, if it's graphic design or fine art, you might get away with more saturated color, especially depending on what you're doing. I mean, there was the 60s brought us a lot of challenging artwork, like the op art, where they would specifically ignore rules of color theory, or just like take two like saturated complements and paint them on a canvas right next to each other, and create this very uncomfortable visual experience on purpose, because they wanted to break the mirror. Sometimes artists break the rules just to break the rules because they're told you have to follow the rules. We always want to know why. Why do we have to follow this rule? So you try things that you're told you can't do or should not do. And sometimes you find, I see why you're not supposed to do that. And sometimes you find that that rule seems to be arbitrary. Okay. So this is, see, like that looks like a pretty good orange that I have right there. So I'm getting, as I get through the middle and then sort of on the blue side of the center, which is kind of what's happening now. Okay, definitely greenish. Now this is okay in your scale. This is just like, it's just kind of like what this is the byproduct of mixing the two hues, and this green will happen. Like, this is probably still just a little too yellow. So a rather beautiful color. So you can get And you can get nice greens from mixing blue and orange, and they would be a little bit more unique. And I think that's what, we were talking about mixing complements and having the scale, and then mixing black and white, and the possibility of mixing gray, like say, somewhere along this scale, like this hue you want to tint and shade, that would produce some very interesting and unique colors. When you consider the, like the mixtures, I'm just kind of, doing this mixture in a, somewhat arbitrary. I'm not measuring the paint. I had to put a lot more in there to get this to change. So since I'm not measuring the paint, there's like this just, almost like it's like every one of them is something that you probably wouldn't even be able to reproduce. Like, I don't know how I would reproduce that exactly, except that I would wait for it to dry, and then I can, try to match it with some other colorant, or just try to match it with this paint. That's actually good to be able to do. I mean, it's the kind of thing where I remember in the arts, you do something good, and sometimes, especially when you're learning, you're not really sure, well, how exactly did I do that? It's just like I was, sort of working this process, and this, I had something successful happen. The ability to do it again is really where, some skill comes in. And that's just also experience, having done it once or done it twice, you have some idea of how you got there. Okay. Okay, that is really green. So the greens in terms of your painting are not usable, but if this is what you get for your, if this is what you get for your scale, I don't want you to get too discouraged. So to do this, like the last bit here, I think what I would do, since you can't, I'm not sure if I'll really be able to get it like right up to the blue. What I would do is put some blue in a cup, mix a little bit of the orange into it, and then get like a few of them where you darken blue with the orange. So you don't, I want you to do a scale where you take the blue and mix black and white and create a monochromatic scale out of that. Really, it's a value scale. And then you do the same thing with the orange, or whichever two hues you're working with. And then you're going to do this complementary scale where you mix the two hues together and create this transition from orange to blue. But yeah, this is revealing just how, this stuff looks good all the way through here. The green, even this one, this is a nice color. This one gets, this green is a little too saturated green. It's still a very interesting green. It's kind of like this is the process of discovery in this project is very valuable, because you'll come across versions of these hues and variations on these hues that you probably have never, maybe you've never seen them quite before, or you just see how mixing the paint works. So this is important, because down the road, you're not going to be mixing colors like this professionally. You'll be selecting colors for paint color, for print colors, whatever you happen to be doing. Maybe for, an oil painting or a watercolor. So the experience of this, making it, helps you to understand the colors and understand how you arrive at certain variations on hues. All right, so from here, I think I would just stop with this. I would clean this up, clean my brushes, clean my cups out, maybe make sure I've got my orange set aside, and then I would paint that little extra bit with the blue, adding orange, and fill this little extra bit in. I should be able to get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should be able to get enough. What is this going to be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, hopefully I can get 12. I might be a little flexible on the number of samples. 10 might be enough depending on how your scale goes, but we'll see. As always, this can be a very subjective process. Sometimes it can be hard for me to set everything in stone because things change when you work, and I want to be flexible about that, which is pretty important in design and art, because you have an idea. The way process works is you have an idea of what you're after, and then the act of making it informs you of a lot of details that you couldn't predict, and so you usually it's rare that you don't make adjustments. It's extremely rare. So as these dry, let's put them like this. Enlarge that a little. Whoa, Dennis! I didn't mean to flip. I'm not sure how I'm reaching up to the touch screen, so I think I just accidentally hit that. Okay, good. All right. See how this looks on the screen. These are still drying. Nice colors. I love these. These are beautiful. But you can see where it goes from the blue. Stop doing that. Watch when I'm actually touching the screen of the tablet. Okay, so yeah, so you can see the way this is drying and beautiful. And yeah, so you can see also that the blue's dark. When you're adding the orange is going to darken that. It's going to actually, the orange will lighten that a little bit. But this side of it, from blue into the middle, is going to be darker. The orange is going to dull the blue. Won't really lighten it much, but it's just going to dull the hue a little bit, and then it's going to just get into that middle. Good. Yeah, they're still drying, so it's a little hard to evaluate until they are, but I can kind of see the colors that they're going to become. This one down here, there is coming up kind of nice. Yeah, it's a nice dull green-ish. So again, I would say in terms of these like oranges, maybe it's like to here or here. This is a little borderline whether or not you would use it in your painting, but you probably could. It's just because it doesn't really read it doesn't scream green. This would probably be a better place to stop here. So no. So you still have to paint them for the scale, but you might not use them in the painting. Any question about that? Okay. Well, I don't think there's anything else. We'll talk. Oh, what about red and green? Well, if you've got red and green, it's going to be the same process. You're mixing green. If you have The hue that, like, the sort of like mystery color that will appear in the middle tends to be violet. If your green is a little bit too blue. Ultramarine yellow. I would say yes. Because if the yellow orange is more orange, then the orange interacting with like yeah, because so the more I would say the more orange it is, the better. If it's more on the reds, if you're going to push it one way or the other. So because if you have like the ultra blue, which has that ultramarine color, so it's blue with a bias toward violet. If you want it with yellow orange, I mean, just straight up yellow orange ought to be good with blue, with the ultra blue, because the ultra blue isn't really quite blue violet. So it's a little more like, it's almost like you are taking, well, no, blue. Yeah, it should be more toward orange. Definitely more toward orange. Yep. And I hope that that was good advice. I guess we'll find out on Thursday, won't we? You'll tell me. Yes, we was. You know, I hate to say it, that is so often the way things go when you're learning something is you have to try it and find out. And you know, my nurturing nature wants to, you know, take some of these obstacles away from you, but unfortunately, you have to go through them yourself. And I did, and that was, you know, my professors weren't able to do my work for me, but I did appreciate any help that I got in terms of what would be the best way to go about it. So that's what I'm trying to do for you. Okay, that is enough for the morning. I will see you Thursday. And happy painting. And if you can get outside a little bit this morning before it gets rainy and chilly, I think I might go take a short walk before I get back to work here. After I clean everything up. Don't leave your paint sitting out because that's makes a mess later.